I have the real pleasure to have with me today a guest who's going to talk a little bit about some things that are happening to try to make the political process less bothersome to the average citizen. And I want to introduce Shaun Dakin. Shaun, thank you very much for being with me today.
Sure, thank you.
Shaun is the CEO and founder of Citizens for Civil Discourse and the National Political Do Not Contact Registry, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization founded in early 2007 to give control of the political conversation back to the American voter. That's your goal.
That is.
I, in 2005, introduced a bill that would allow citizens to get on a do not call registry for robo-political calls. And Shaun is working on this at a national level, and so I wanted him to come in and talk a little bit about his efforts, because I think what he's doing is a very worthwhile project. So Shaun, talk a little bit about stoppoliticalcalls.org.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. And so the issue here is that the American voters on both sides of the aisle are having their homes essentially invaded, their privacy invaded by automated political phone calls, or a lot of people talk about them as robocalls, robotic phone calls. And so I saw an issue here, as you did see an issue, at the national level of a way to attempt to deal with this in a nonpartisan way that is voluntary. And so, we are incredibly applaud, all the regulatory efforts that you and others are making on this issue. And there's a big issue around whether that can go forward. And so what we're trying to do here is give people back that control in their home of robocalls. And so this particular election season, it's been amazing in terms of the number of robocalls. And so just to give you an idea of the scale of this, in 2006, the Pew Center found that 61% of all American voters received robocalls. That's over 90 million people.
Wow.
And then they did some follow-up in November of last year, looking specifically at the early caucuses in primary states, obviously Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. And they found that about 81% of voters in Iowa received robocalls in November. That's just staggering. That's just an amazing, invasion of their privacy.
Right.
And in South Carolina, and this again is in November, they found it was about 40% of all voters. And then once the primaries actually happened, it was probably about 100% of all voters that hit. And so we're really looking to stop that and give the voter back control over their phone.
Well, your effort and my effort are focused on people being able to sign up for a do not call registry.
Exactly.
Meaning that this is it is a voluntary issue.
Right.
This is not prescribing that people cannot make the robocalls, but that those who do not wish to receive them can say, I don't want your calls.
Exactly, exactly. So you point out exactly the right point here is that the First Amendment is going to be a big barrier to kind of banning robocalls, which
Correct.
is banning political speech, and we don't believe that should happen. You don't believe that should happen, and so you and I are in the same mind in that there is a voluntary mechanism that will allow this to happen, and so. What we're doing here is creating another, essentially a voluntary mechanism for people to go to a website, raise their hand voluntarily, and put their phone number on at stoppoliticalcalls.org. And then we're working, directly with politicians, of which you're our leader here, and so we commend your leadership here, to take a do not robocall pledge and agree not to robocall your constituents who have signed up at stoppoliticalcalls.org. And so we commend your leadership on that issue, And so I can give you some examples that I've gotten from my members on, how this impacts their lives, and I'm sure you have a lot as well. I saw you testify in December. You had some great examples, but just one that came in early this week that just kind of touched my my heart here is that this is from a senior, lives at home, and she has a husband, and it was just heart-wrenching because she says she goes out and these automated phone calls come in, and he is not physically and mentally well, and the automated phone calls come in and they confuse him, and he tries to have a conversation with the robocall coming in, and he gets upset. He gets frustrated, and he doesn't know what's going on. And it's just incredibly, frustrating and disturbing to many people. Same thing with people who work at night. If you have a night shift, people say, well, why don't we just stop the robocalls from happening during the evening time? So after 9 o'clock at night, you can't call. Again, there's a whole segment of the population who sleep during the day, and it wakes them up as well. So, it's a real impact on people's lives across all party lines.
Well, and I found when in 2004 that people didn't even want real people to call them. They had gotten so frustrated because since I first ran for office for the school board in 1974, I had no money. My best way to campaign was to call people on the phone. And people were thrilled to get telephone calls from somebody running for office because it was a unique experience for them. But what I found in 2004, when I was making calls and we had volunteers making calls, live calls, people said, no, I don't want to talk to you because I've been so bombarded with these robocalls. I'm so frustrated by those that I don't even want to talk to a live person now. And that, I think, is damaging our system because we want people to be able to talk to folks who are running for office or to elected officials. And if we turn them completely off the process because of the robocalls, then I think we're damaging our system of government. And I don't want that to happen. I want citizens to want to speak to their elected officials.
We launched in October, and we're almost up to 50,000 voters across the country who have signed up. And then, of course, this is critical for political candidates and politicians to take a Do Not Robocall pledge. And thank you, you were the very first to take the Do Not Robocall pledge. Last week we had Congresswoman Boyda from Kansas sign as well. And so we're moving and the ball is rolling. And, as the primaries have gone through, the months that we're getting, people are increasingly frustrated with this issue. And so there's a lot of attention on this. And I think most politicians realize that these are just not working either. It's just they're not effective. They're turning people off. I get hundreds of emails a day from people saying, the candidate that calls me the most is the candidate that will not get my vote.
Well, I'm glad you made that point because I have heard that from you and I have heard it from other people that is the case. Well, Shaun, we have about a minute left. So is there anything that you want to say in this short period of time that we have left to sort of close the deal here?
Sure.
Obviously, people in my district don't have to sign up for this, but if they want to let me know that they're in favor of it, I'm happy to hear about it.
Sure.
But we really want this to be a national movement, right? You want people from all over the country to sign up for it.
I would just close to say that, if you really care about this issue, go to stoppoliticalcalls.org, sign up. It's free. We're not going to take your information and sell it or distribute it anywhere else. And this is a way for you to raise your hand and be counted as somebody who really does not want to get robocalls.
And if you don't have a computer and you're a constituent of mine, call my office and we'll get you signed up.
There you go.
So thank you very much, Shaun Dakin. I appreciate it. I appreciate your being here with me.
Thank you, Congresswoman.